Hi language learners, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I want to show you a language learning model that can help you figure out how best to view and engage with your target language, whatever that target language may be. I'm going to use dry erase markers and do this model right here on my kitchen table. I want to welcome you to do the same. Maybe you have a notebook or a piece of paper or a whiteboard or maybe dry erase markers and a table like me. I think you're going to find this really fun and useful. So first we're going to draw a sort of a four square quadrant, or like something with a XY axis here. Okay, and in quadrant number 1, we're going to write the words interesting and necessary. So what does this mean? If your target language resides in this quadrant, then it means you're interested in that target language, and it's also necessary for you to use it in daily life. You have a reason or an impetus to apply it. There's some real life context where you actually have to be using it. Okay, this is an ideal quadrant for our target languages to be in generally. Generally, we would seek to figure out how we can move our target languages into that quadrant. Okay, the second quadrant is the next best thing. We're going to write into this quadrant interesting and unnecessary. Now, why do I say that this is the next best thing? Well, you're still curious about the language, you're still interested in the language, but you don't really have real-life scenarios where you can use it and apply it with other people. So, but this is not necessarily such a bad thing, because all you have to do is figure out ways to build in necessity, ways to build in some real-life applications for that target language. Maybe you join some sort of a language exchange or practice group for that target language. Maybe you set up an italki tutor who's going to help to hold you accountable to practice with you, once a week or something like that. Or maybe you want to sign up for an exam in that target language, try to get some sort of a certification, something to work towards. Those are like ways, short of moving to that country and living in that country, those are ways that can help you to build in more real life necessity. Okay, the third quadrant, we're going to write uninteresting and necessary. So what does this quadrant mean or represent? If you think your target language exists in this quadrant, well then, for example, you might be a suffering student, because as I know, well, there's a lot of students who have to take a foreign language that they might not be particularly interested because they have to satisfy some sort of requirement for school. Maybe they had limited options, maybe they don't really want to be in that class, but they have to be. That means they have the necessity, but they're not interested to learn that target language. So in this case, you have to try to find out some ways to make it interesting, try to find out some ways to love it. We won't go into details about how to do that in this video. I'm just going to explain the model, but you can brainstorm on this, you can journal on this and figure it out, or maybe leave me a comment down below and we can discuss it. I'd be happy to help you. Quadrant 4, we're going to write uninteresting and unnecessary. So in this case, you're not interested in the target language, and it's not really necessary for you to be learning that target language at all. Sometimes we start to learn a target language, maybe we're a little bit interested at first, or we have some of the reason, maybe it's not such a good reason to be learning that target language. It doesn't really hold up over time, and we find out, you know what, I'm not really as interested as I thought I was going to be in this target language anymore, and it's not really necessary for me to anything. Maybe I'm just trying to force myself to keep up with it because I don't want other people to see me giving up or, going back on it. So I'm just trying to like save face for myself and keep it going. In a case like that, it's better to just delete it. Free up your resources, your time, and your energy to focus more on your top priorities, your top target languages. So again, I think number 1 is ideal. Number 2 is kind of like the next best zone. Number 3, I think, is a tough zone. This is a tricky zone because you have to learn it, but you're not really interested in it. It can be hard to figure out how to make something interesting for yourself when you're not really interested in it. I think I just realized I spelled that wrong. That can be a tricky category to be in. This one I think is less of a tricky category to be in. It's obviously requires you to just delete something, just remove something from your schedule and your life when you realize it's really not serving you and it's sapping your time and energy. Just give it up, free up those resources.